So we're going to begin Chapter 15, the cardiovascular system, with a very brief introductory video talking about, looking at the purpose and looking at some of the minor structures of the heart and the vessels associated with the cardiovascular system. So we'll start with functions. The cardiovascular system is the heart and the blood vessels that carry blood. And they function to first circulate blood through the body. So that's the job of the heart. The heart acts as the pump that pressurizes blood and forces it out through blood vessels. And then there are specific blood vessels. These are the arteries and veins and the arterioles and venules that also are involved. Their function is circulation. So, and they don't allow any kind of exchange to occur. So the second function then of the cardiovascular system is this shift as we have the impermeable arteries carrying blood away from the heart. They shift and become permeable, and this happens at the capillary networks. And so when those blood vessels become permeable, then we can do exchange between the blood and the tissue fluids that are surrounding these capillaries. And we can exchange nutrients for wastes, oxygen for carbon dioxide. We can dump out hormones. We can, all the things that we talked about back when we were discussing blood. We exchange all those materials there in the capillary networks. And then we go back to a circulating function again. As the blood leaves the capillary networks and enters venules and eventually larger veins, the blood vessels become impermeable once more. And again, the goal is to get all of these materials back to wherever it is that we need to get rid of them if they are waste materials. And then finally, the cardiovascular system serves to distribute white blood cells and other immune function chemicals throughout the blood or throughout the body so that we can defend against bacterial, viral invasion, cancerous cells, and so on. So the anatomy is the heart and the blood vessels. The heart, if you place clench your fist and place it right there in the middle of your chest, and sort of tilt the pinky side of your fist a little bit to the left. That's about the location, the size and the location of the heart. It beats about 90,000 times every day, and in the process pumps something on the order of 7,000 liters of blood. Of course, we only have 5 liters of blood in our body, but we recirculate those 5 liters many, many times throughout the course of the day. So if we think about the blood vessels, arteries are the large vessels that carry blood away from the heart. So regardless of what the characteristics of the blood are, if it's departing the heart or being carried in a direction away from the heart and toward one of these systemic capillary networks, it's an artery. And arteries, as they get further and further from the heart, they branch more and more, and the branches get smaller, and the characteristics of the wall of the artery begin to change. It gets thinner and begins to lose some of the structure that it had when it was an artery. And we will eventually refer to these smaller, slightly different structured blood vessels as arterioles. Arterioles will then continue to branch and branch until they become the very smallest of blood vessels in the body, the capillaries. And it's here at these capillary networks that we can do the exchange function, where we exchange nutrients for wastes and oxygen for carbon dioxide and get the hormones delivered and all those things that we associate with the exchange function of blood. On the far side of a capillary network, after we've done this exchange, then the capillaries will merge, forming larger vessels. The smallest of these larger vessels are the venules. Venules will merge and merge as they carry blood back toward the heart, eventually forming veins, which merge until they form the great veins of the heart. And that returns the blood to the heart so that we can pump it out once more. So we can think about the pathways that blood flows as circuits, as these closed circuits of tubes that take blood from the heart and then return it to the heart again. And there are three circuits that we can think about associated, or three types of circuits that are associated with the heart. So the first of them would be the pulmonary circuit. And so if we look here at the right side of the heart, so remember we're looking at it in from the point of view of the patient. Here's the right side of the heart. Blood leaves the heart through an artery called the pulmonary trunk, and almost immediately the pulmonary trunk branches into the right and left pulmonary veins. And we're going to discuss all of this, so don't feel like, if you're not getting these names yet, that's fine. We're going to work on that. So blood leaves through the pulmonary trunk. It diverts or diverges here into either the right pulmonary artery or the left pulmonary artery. So the blood flows through the pulmonary arteries and enters the lungs, and the blood vessels get smaller and smaller, and eventually it reaches the capillary network. And here we see exchange occurring in the capillary network, where CO2 is dumped from the blood and oxygen is picked up in the blood, so that as blood leaves the lungs, it is returning now through one of two, so each lung has two pulmonary veins, and these pulmonary veins are carrying oxygenated blood that they picked up at the heart. The pulmonary veins return then to the left side of the heart, and here you can see the left pulmonary veins coming in to this upper chamber of the heart. It gets squeezed down to the lower chamber of the heart, and what we've seen there, I should stop for a second, is the pulmonary circuit. So blood departing through the pulmonary trunk, pulmonary arteries, into the lungs, the capillary networks of the lungs, returning through the pulmonary veins, back to the heart. That's the pulmonary circuit. The systemic circuit has blood leaving the left side of the heart. So here we get to this lower chamber of the heart. It gives a mighty squeeze, and blood departs through the aorta. So you can't see my red arrow very well, but through the aorta, and then it branches, and some blood goes upward toward the arms and the head. Other blood heads downward toward the rest of the body, and the blood enters then capillary networks, where we see oxygen leaving the capillaries. We pick up waste carbon dioxide, nutrients leave, in comes wastes of metabolism, and then it's the veins that return the blood. Now I can draw in here. And there are two main arteries that return blood to the heart. I'm sorry, I said arteries, I meant veins, two main veins, the superior vena cava here and the inferior vena cava here. And so they return the waste-rich blood back to the heart. And that would be the systemic circuit, where large arteries carry the aorta, being the primary one, carry blood away from the heart out to capillary networks in the systemic circulation, and then large veins return the blood back to the heart again. And then last of all, there's this tiny little circuit that's referred to as the coronary circuit. That is those are the blood vessels that deliver oxygen, nutrients to the muscle of the heart. So even though all this oxygenated and nutrient-rich blood is being delivered through the heart, the chambers of the heart are impermeable to the movement of that oxygen. Or they're not, or I should say at least that they are not permeable enough to the movement of oxygen that the muscle of the heart gets sufficient oxygen just from those connections there, or that through the lining of the chambers. So we have a system of blood vessels, the coronary circuit, that carries oxygen and nutrient-rich blood out to the muscle of the heart, and then returns the waste-rich blood to the heart again, or to the chambers of the heart again, I should say. Okay, so three circuits: pulmonary circuit, systemic circuit, and the coronary circuit. All right, so there you have it. Everything I want to say here. and move right on into the next lecture.